All right, here we go. Welcome to the start of something insane. This is a flat map full of grass that I have modified and put my touch on it. I have zero money to my name. No tractor, no buildings, no fields. Just me, a scythe, a pitchfork. So I grabbed my rustic scythe and set to work, cutting the grass as close to the farmer's market as possible. Every step I take now means less carrying later when it is time to sell. This is what real hard work looks like. No machines, no shortcuts, just me and a blade, swinging the scythe back and forth, one patch of grass at a time, feeling every cut in my arms. It is slow, it is tiring, but every blade of grass brings me a little closer to my first few money. After cutting a small area of grass, I was already tired and curious how much money I will get by selling it. I picked up my pitchfork and started collecting grass. It is not much, but it is something. 23 euros, my very first earnings. Now I just need to keep running back and forth until I reach the 700 euros I'm aiming for. The first few euros are on the board, and that feels like a small victory already. I do not care if this takes hours, I am determined to reach my goal, no matter how many trips it takes or how sore my arms get. For 700, we will get this: a hand baling machine and a cargo cart. With these, I can bundle the grass neatly and transport it in much larger loads, saving both time and energy. It might not sound like much, but right now these simple tools will feel like a giant leap forward compared to hauling loose grass by hand. That gave us a total of 165 euros. I spent the next hour cutting, running, and selling until I reached 500, then decided to buy the hand baling machine so I would not have to run with loose grass anymore. This is a brand new challenge series where I am starting from nothing and working my way up to achieve my goals the hard way. If you are still here, please help me share this with others by pressing like, leaving a comment, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell so you do not miss the next episode of this series. Your support is much appreciated. The rules are simple: no loans, no leasing equipment. Everything must be earned, 1 million in the bank. Build a small farm. Buy all necessary equipment to run the farm. Let us see how this works. Pick up the grass with the pitchfork it came with and throw it into the baler. Will we get one bale from what is left? Yes, we did. One bale. Let us take it and sell it to see exactly how much we can get from a single bale. 65 euros. That puts us almost halfway to the 200 euros we need for the cargo cart. Once we have that, we can haul far more bales in one trip, making the work faster and far less exhausting. I spent the next hour cutting a much larger area, planning to bale it all in one sweep. Once the baling was done, I grabbed a couple of bales and ran to sell them. As soon as I reached 200 euros, I bought the cargo cart, loaded up the remaining bales, and took them all in one trip. Selling them in bulk brought in a staggering 784 euros, a huge leap forward compared to my earlier exhausting runs with loose grass. After that big sale, I spent almost 2 hours cutting more grass and making fresh bales to sell. I managed to produce 11 more bales, which brought in another 722 euros. With that done, I decided to take a break from the endless grass cutting to give my arms some rest. Instead, I began working on building a road that will eventually lead directly to my future farm. At the same time, I set up the tent I had just bought. Finally, a place to sleep where I will stay dry if the rain starts pouring down. So I decided to call it a day and get back to work in October, since I have heard that the price for grass is higher then. It also gives my body more time to rest and prepare for the tough challenges that still lie ahead of me. It is an October morning, and the fog hangs low in the distance. I grab my trusty scythe and set out to work, determined to cut grass like never before. For nearly 3 hours straight, I work through the biggest section I have tackled so far, each swing carving out progress toward my goal. Our target now is 3,500 euros, enough to buy a small mower. It is faster, it has an engine, and yes, even a seat. Once I have it, I can finally sell the scythe and enjoy something I can actually drive around on. 3 hours later, the cutting is done, and it is time to fire up my hand baling machine to gather it all. 1 hour later, I had turned all the cut grass into bales. Now it was time to collect them and sell. Let us start loading them up, easily the heaviest work of the day. 10 bales loaded and ready to go. Off to the market. The price has climbed even higher over the past 2 months. And for this load, we earned 739 euros. That brings the total to 2,246 euros. I think we are getting close to buying that mower, just 2 more loads if my calculations are correct. After selling rest of the bales, I made 1,778 euros, bringing my total to 4,025. More than enough for that mower. Without wasting a second, I rushed to the store and bought it. Look at this happy guy. This is guaranteed to speed things up and change the way I work from now on. I jumped onto the mower and set off for a test run. So much fun that I did not even notice that 50 minutes had passed, and I had already cut an area even larger than what I could manage with the scythe. After that, I quickly sold the scythe. I would not be needing it anymore. My next goal is to get a machine that can turn the grass into hay, so I can earn even more money per bale. I just hope it can be pulled by the mower. Now it was time to bale all the neat rows we had made. After a while, I stopped, hoping I had created enough bales to afford the tedder. I loaded them all up and sold the lot for 1,497 euros, just enough to buy it. With my heart racing a bit, I rushed to the store, all the way wondering if this would finally be the right attachment for the mower. It looked like it would fit. And yes, what a relief when it did. Now we can finally turn grass into hay. Still, I really need a tractor for this job. The mower can pull it, but it looks absolutely hilarious. Okay, let us turn that last patch of grass so it can dry. I even tried to use the tedder as a windrower, but it is made to spread grass, not move it into neat rows. We will need another 1,500 euros to buy a similar machine designed for windrowing. For now, let us bale this hay and see what it brings in. By the time I had collected all the bales, it was too late to sell, so I decided to call it a night. The next morning, I immediately went to sell the hay bales and earned 1,331 euros. After that, I hopped back on the mower, cut more grass, turned it into hay, made hay bales, and sold them. But before I can buy a windrower, I need to stop hauling bales on foot. Look at this trailer. I have a feeling the mower will struggle to pull it. Still, it has the same hitch type, so maybe it will work. If not, well, then I will have to start saving for a tractor. That cost me 2,800 euros. Quite an expensive gamble if it did not fit. Phew, it fits. And amazingly, the mower can even pull it. It still looks so wrong, but it works, and that is what matters. Now I can finally sell the cargo cart. I hooked everything up, loaded the trailer, and headed out to the area where my future farm will be built. After driving for a while, I began clearing the space to park my equipment. Once that was done, I turned the grass there into hay, baled it, loaded it onto the new trailer, and sold it. With those earnings, I was finally able to buy a windrower. I left the windrower behind and drove back to pick it up, another important step toward making this operation much more efficient. Once all the equipment was at the farm, I set up the tent and jumped back on the mower to tackle the largest field yet. For 5 straight hours, I cut grass, turned it into hay, baled it, and loaded every single bale onto the trailer. With 37,000 liters of hay on board, it is amazing the mower can still pull it, although I am sure this is wearing out the engine fast. I am hoping this load will be enough to finally buy a brand new tractor. Once everything was loaded, I decided to take some time off and wait until the prices reached their peak in January before making the sale. It was a beautiful January morning. The sun was shining, and I was on my way to sell all my hay bales. A staggering 7,561 euros for this load. I am really hoping this would be enough for a brand new small tractor. Unfortunately, it was not quite enough. But for 7,500 euros, I managed to find something else, an old rusty John Deere. It may not be shiny or new, but it is mine, and it will get the job done. With a bit of help, we lifted the mower onto the trailer so we could bring everything home together. Back at the farm, the tent is standing, the equipment is here, and the old John Deere, rusty, loud, and a little temperamental, is ready. I headed out on the mower to cut some more grass. Enjoy this short time lapse. If you do not like time lapses, you have exactly 1 minute to get yourself some snacks and a beverage. I marked the edges of the fields I plan to create once we have the right tools, then headed out again on the mower to make more hay bales to sell. After a couple of hours, I had cut 2 more fields and loaded the bales onto the trailer. Selling all the hay bales brought in 3,541 euros. I drove back to my tent and had a good night's sleep. And the next morning, I built some roads to the fields. After that, you will never guess what I did. Oh, you could? Yeah, you are right. More hay bales. I sold them for 5,458 euros. My next goal is to get a proper baling machine so I no longer have to run around making bales by foot. Along with this bale trailer, I should be able to load the bales directly from the baling machine. After starting to cut a huge area, an absolutely brilliant idea popped into my head after driving around in circles. If I sell the mower and buy a mower attachment for the tractor now, something cheap but with a wider cutting area, I could still make more money in the bank. It makes sense to do it while the mower is still worth something and before I completely wear it out. So I headed to the store, and of course I needed matching colors for the tractor. I attached the new mower and headed out to the field to give it a proper test run. The wider cutting area was immediately noticeable, and it felt good to be putting the tractor to work. Once I confirmed everything was working as it should, I went ahead and sold the mower head for 777 euros and the old mower for 1,812 euros. That left me with a healthy bank balance of 10,566 euros. Not bad at all. With that done, I spent the rest of the day cutting grass, determined to make the most of the new setup. The hours passed quickly, but as the sky grew darker, the first drops began to fall, and within minutes the rain was pouring down. I had no choice but to stop and run back to the tent, grateful for some shelter from the sudden downpour. I had to wait 2.5 hours before the rain finally stopped, and I could get back to work. According to the weather forecast, there should be no more rain for the rest of the day, so I pushed on. The ground was still damp, and the air smelled fresh after the downpour, but the mower handled it well. Determined to finish, I kept working long past sundown. The next day, and I mean the entire day, was spent turning the cut grass into hay and then into bales. It was non-stop work from morning until evening, but after selling the last bales, my total earnings reached 13,180 euros, enough to finally afford a proper baling machine. Without wasting a moment, I rushed to the store and bought it for 22,300 euros, then sold the trusty hand baling machine for 329 euros. I connected the new baler to the trailer's rear hitch and made the drive back home, already imagining how much faster and easier the work would be from now on. That night, I went to sleep with a big smile, feeling like the farm had taken another huge step forward. May was all about cutting grass, turning it into hay took up most of the time, then rowing it neatly into rows for baling. All this work was to earn enough money for a bale trailer so the bale machine could drop the bales straight onto the trailer instead of the ground, saving time and effort on every field. When I was done, I had a total of 129 bales ready. Before starting the long process of loading them, I decided to take a quick trip to the store to see if they had anything interesting on sale. And there it was, an absolute beast of a tractor. With 250 horsepower, it would be a huge upgrade for my farm. I tried to convince myself I should stay focused on building the farm first, but it was only 11,536 euros at a massive 56% off. I rushed back and started loading all the bales, determined to afford that tractor. It took 3 full trailer loads before I was finally done, but in the end, I had enough money to grab the super deal. That kind of deal does not come often. In the end, I could not resist. I bought it on the spot. With my new, much more powerful tractor, I sold the old rusty John Deere for 5,561 euros. I also sold my trailer and replaced it with a new one that could be connected directly to the baling machine, making work much more efficient. With the money I had left, I picked up a small plow so I could start creating my own fields. When I got home with all the new equipment, I attached the plow, and I could not help but laugh. The tractor looked absolutely ridiculous pulling something that small. Clearly, I need to get a bigger plow. This one is just not worthy of my new machine. All of June was spent cutting the large field again and turning it into hay bales. Honestly, I am so sick of hay bales at this point, but I am still determined to make this happen. Late in the afternoon, I attached the baling machine, hooked up the trailer to it, and headed out to start baling. Take a look at that. One full trailer sold for 15,766 euros. The next load brought in 15,840 euros, and even then, there were still more bales left. Almost a full trailer later, I made another 15,285 euros. Now my total stands at 47,898 euros, which means I can finally begin building a proper farmhouse and a barn. I also plan to plant 2 apple trees and set up a greenhouse to diversify the farm's income. But, oh no, I did it again. I fell for the temptation. I was heading to buy a larger plow, but when I looked at what was on sale, I saw this case tractor. And to make it even harder to resist, it could be fitted with a front loader attachment, something that would be incredibly useful around the farm. And just like that, our very first year on the farm comes to an end. We started with almost nothing: a tent, a few simple tools, and an old rusty tractor that barely held together. Over the months, we worked every hour we could, cutting grass, making hay bales, selling every load we could haul. Slowly but surely, the farm began to take shape. Now, 1 year later, we have a stronger fleet of machines, a proper barn, a farmhouse to call home, a greenhouse ready to grow fresh produce, and even apple trees. We have learned a lot, earned a lot, and yes, made more hay bales than I ever want to count again. But the big question is, what will year 2 bring? Will we finally bring animals to the farm and see them thrive? Will the greenhouse become a steady income source? Will we expand our fields, or will another unexpected bargain completely change the course of our plans? Thank you so much for watching and being part of this journey. I would really love to hear your thoughts on this style of episode, so leave a comment down below. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. Year 2 might just be even bigger.